This week we are learning Parashat Vayera. And at the end of last week's Torah portion, God comes to Abraham Avinu and gives him yet another test. And he tells him, at the age of 99 years old, God comes to Abraham Avinu and tells him, it is now time for you to circumcise. But who was going to circumcise Abraham Avinu? There was no one to. There's a special halacha, and we'll see this actually plays effect in the next thing Abraham Avinu does, is that one who circumcises another has to be circumcised. If not, it's hypocritical. How can a man who is not circumcised come and circumcise another man or a child who to be circumcised? By not being circumcised, it shows you don't even believe in it. And therefore, Abraham Avinu, since he was the first, he had to do it to himself at 99 years old. Then he comes. Now for everyone else, they had to be circumcised by someone who was circumcised. So that means Abraham Avinu, after doing it to himself, he couldn't go rest. As we soon see, he had to rest for a couple days. He couldn't rest. He went and he does his son Ishmael at the age of 13. And then he goes. And this is really the last verses of last week's Torah portion. He goes, and all of those who came close to him, all of those who started following him, following and believing in Kadosh Baruch Hu, his slaves even, all of them were circumcised by Avraham Avinu. And this was the end of last week's Torah portion. Comes the beginning of this week's Torah portion, and guess who comes and does Bikur Holim to Avraham Avinu? The one and only HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, God. And he visits Avraham Avinu. Now, of course, him visiting Avraham Avinu was definitely a nivuah. It was prophecy. Hashem is not a physical being. But he comes and visits Avraham Avinu. Now, we have to understand, Avraham Avinu's task, still at 99 years old, and this has been going on for decades, was to bring people closer to Hashem. How did he do it? Similar to what we're doing tonight. He brought food. He opened his tent by all four directions. Everybody came in. He didn't jump on them and tell them, did you put on tefillin today? Did you give tzedakah today? Are you wearing tzitzit? Do you keep Shabbat? They didn't even start with that. He started by filling them. He gave them food. He gave them drink, especially in the desert on a hot day. And then, oh, you want to eat that? It's free, except you just need to bless God. What is God? And then he got into it. And slowly, he started bringing people in a sweet way. And just as the saying goes, the way to every man is through his stomach. And that's what Avraham Avinu did. And so he was greatly successful. He had such a burning passion to give of himself and to bring people closer to Hashem that even after he was circumcised, those first couple days when he was in excruciating pain, he still was waiting for people to host and to bring closer to Hashem. So what does God do? God does Avraham Avinu a chesed. He says, I want to give you a break. Let you recoup. And to the third day of his circumcision, God comes and greets him. But Avraham Avinu is not happy because he's waiting. He just came out of the operation room. And he's waiting to see who he could catch, who he could bring. But Hashem made it boiling outside. The Mefarshim explain that Hashem took the sun out of its protective pouch and the earth was burning hot. It was literally more than a heat wave. And Hashem did so in order that no one walks and no one travels. So to give Avraham Avinu a one-day break. This is the beginning of this week's Torah portion. Hashem sees that Avraham Avinu is so sad. It was already too hot of a day. No one's traveling now. Hashem sends him 3 special guests. And you know who these guests were? None other than angels. 3 special angels. Now why 3? Rashi says, because each of them had a specific task. The first angel was to tell Sarah Imenu that she is going to get pregnant. Even though she is going to give birth at the ripe age of 90 years old, she will give birth in exactly 1 year from that day. That day was Pesach. Next Pesach, you'll be holding a baby, Yitzhak Avinu, in your hands. That was the first angel. Second angel was to destroy the city of Sodom. And the third angel was to give a refuah shlema to Avraham Avinu. And then after it did that, it shifted and then it went to go save Lot from Sodom. As Rashi says, Refuah and Hatzalah is the same thing. Healing and saving are both the same. But each malach, each angel, had its own specific task. And he comes, and he greets them, and he does for them, not even knowing they're malachim, and does, and serves them and takes care of them in the most beautiful and hospitable way, to the point where the laws of hachnasat orchim, of receiving people home, hosting, we learn from Avraham Avinu's encounter with the malachim, which is something very beautiful. The Zera Shimshon asks two prominent questions. He says, what's the big idea with day 3? Why do our commentaries tell us that it was the 3rd day since Abraham's circumcision that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to visit him? That's his first question. His second question is, well, what happened to everyone else? Was Avraham Avinu the only one to get circumcised? No. It was him, his son, and everyone who lived with him. Dozens of people, could be even more. So why is God only coming to visit Avraham Avinu? Shouldn't they all be sick? Shouldn't they all be healing? They should all be suffering, they should all be in pain? No, but the Torah, the beginning of the verse, the beginning of this Parashat tells us that God comes to Abraham. Why is he only visiting Avraham and not anyone else, as Zera Shimshon adds? So listen to his answer. He quotes the Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra that quotes Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai saying, Avraham Avinu had a special gem that he wore around his neck, and anyone who was sick instantly looked at that gem and was healed 100%. This is what he says. Doesn't tell us which gem it is, doesn't tell us exactly how it worked, but we know even nowadays there has been discoveries, it's not recent, but this is for many years, that different gems and different stones and rocks have their own unique powers. And apparently Avraham Avinu, according to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, had a special stone which healed upon looking at it. So what did Avraham Avinu do? At the moment that he circumcised himself, he took this off, the Zera Shimshon says. He took the gem and he put it aside. He actually allowed, and so it was, all of his people, all of his slaves, all the people he brought closer to Hashem, they used it. Ishmael, they used it. They got circumcised. Next moment, they looked at it and they were healed. But Avraham Avinu didn't. And the Zera Shimshon says, you know why? He says, Avraham knew this was a test. Circumcising himself was a great test. It was one of Abraham's 10 great tests. And Avraham Avinu knew that if it would not be painful, if there would be no suffering, then there's no merit. What's the point? As we learn in Masechet Avot, Lefum Tzara Agra, based on the amount of pain and suffering, or greater yet, the effort that we exert for something, is the amount of merit we get for it. It's like having a hand-me-down or building it. And that's exactly what it was for Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu said, I want full credit for this test. There might be an easy way out. No, I want to work hard for it. He says further to Zera Shimshon, you know what Avraham Avinu was thinking? He said, what would the world say? Everyone knows that I have this gem. Of course Avraham Avinu will circumcise himself at 99. It's so easy for him. He's going to be in pain for one moment. He looks at the gem, everything's fine. So Avraham Avinu said, I cannot do that. I cannot let the world think that I did this because it was easy for me. I did this because I'm committed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he said. And therefore, he did not use the gem and everyone else did. So who did HaKadosh Baruch Hu need to visit? Who was the only one suffering? Avraham Avinu. And that's why the beginning of our Torah portion says that God came to visit Avraham. He was the only one suffering. Now what's this whole idea with the 3rd day? The 3rd day, the Talmud tells us in Masechet Shabbat, is the most painful day after an operation, specifically to Brit Milah, but not limited to that type of operation. On the 3rd day is the most painful. What does it have to do with anything? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Avraham Avinu on the 3rd day when he is most suffering. What's he coming for? To heal him. That was his purpose. When it was most painful. So the Zera Shimshon says, why did Hashem come on day 1 or day 2? Why did he wait 3 days? Of course, Avraham Avinu was looking for suffering, seemingly. But why did he wait? Avraham Avinu and Hashem both, I guess they both thought of it. If Hashem would come on the first day, everyone would think he used the gem. If he came on the second day, Avraham Avinu still was not suffering. So people might think he used the gem. But already for a full 3 days, on the third day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and sees him and visits him and gives him a refuah shlema. Everyone will know that it was Hashem that gave him the refuah, and he didn't cheat and use the gem. He didn't take the shortcut. And the lesson to each and every one of us, I think, is very apparent. That anything we build, anything we work hard for, the fruits are juicier, more successful. And this works in relationships. This works with family. This works in business. You can never compare the founder of a company to its child. The child that comes to work, the child that even takes over, it's never like the one who created the company. There are rare occasions where some children or grandchildren do take it as seriously, but for the most part, the one who came to America, as everyone says, with nothing in their pockets, or pennies in their pockets, and they built an empire of a business, a successful model. How could you compare that to the son who grew up with eating from a silver spoon and coming to work and walking in at a very young age already thinking like they know everything? Now, again, not everyone does that. But in general, when we find in our lives, when we find towards our relationship towards Torah and even HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whenever we give of ourselves, we love it more. We get involved more. That's why we love our children so much. That's why those of us who do for our spouses love your spouse so much. You know, if you would not do anything for your spouse, you wouldn't really love them. You will love yourself. Children, we do more for because they're in certain aspects helpless. And since we do so much for them, we've become invested in them, we love them tremendously. And therefore, it is so in every single aspect of our life. When you do, when you give of yourself, you become attached, and we see tremendous success, and you feel it. That feeling, no one will ever be able to take away from you, no matter what they say. Whether they say that you built a good company, a bad company, whether you built a great relationship or not. Whatever it is, you know how you feel based on how much you put in. And the Zera Shimshon throws in one last thing. And this is something I have to admit I never thought of. How many healing agents does God bring to Avraham Avinu to heal him from his Brit Milah? It was not only him. There was actually 3. Who? The first was the fact that it was a hot day. We know the heat is something which makes you, not only makes you tired, but it actually heals. When someone who's sick, what do they need? They need to be cozy in blankets. They can't be out in the cold. They're actually now open to something else. So that was number 1. His first healing agent that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings to Avraham Avinu was that it was a hot day. That's number 1. Number 2, he sent Malach Raphael. Number 3, he came himself. Zera Shimshon is puzzled. Why does Avraham Avinu need 3 healing agents? And look at his beautiful answer. He says each one came to heal Avraham Avinu in a different aspect. The heat was there to heal him from the circumcision. He had an operation, he needed that healing. What was Malach Raphael for? To heal Avraham Avinu. For now, in order that he has a child next year, to be blessed with one. It's not taken for granted that someone at 99 can still have kids. We're talking on Avraham Avinu's side, for sure Sarah. But Malach Raphael came to heal Avraham to have kids at the age of 99. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu come from? This was the greatest chidush. Where did Avraham Avinu come? Where was he grown up? He was raised in an idolatrous society. He himself was born into that culture. He was part and parcel of that culture. Avraham Avinu was one of the most, if not the most successful Baal Teshuvah. He was not the first Baal Teshuvah, because even though Adam Arishon and Cain both sinned, they were still Baal Teshuvah. But Avraham Avinu was one of the first Baal Teshuvah, and he really went the whole way. He discovered HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was born and he used to worship idols himself until he fully found Hashem. Avraham Avinu only left his father's home at age 75. And therefore, you know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to heal? HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to heal his neshama. He came to give him a full cleanse, that you are accepted, you are a complete Baal Teshuvah. You are, just as nowadays we circumcise children on the 8th day, they are a child. They are free of sin. Avraham Avinu, you circumcise yourself today at age 99, you are like a child free of sin. That was why HaKadosh Baruch Hu came. So the heat was for the Brit. The Malach Raphael was for Yav's children. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to clean his neshama, to accept him as a complete Baal Teshuvah. What we learn from this, and this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. He did midah keneged midah. He said, Avraham Avinu, you went out of your way to connect to me and to give of yourself, to even suffer for it, not to take that stone and look at it and be healed like everyone else. Hashem said, you know who's going to come and visit you? You know who's going to come and heal you? Bikur Cholim? Me, myself. Hashem himself was the one who went to Avraham Avinu. If we want to see Hashem in our own lives, we can do it. We just need to look for him. But we need to welcome him. We need to do things which allows us to see him and to activate his presence in our own midst. This is what Avraham Avinu was zochetu. This is what he merited. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us all with this tremendous chidush of the Zera Shimshon, to find ways to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and for us to look and to see where he is, and for him to come personally, like when HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the Jewish people out of Egypt. Lo al yedei shaliach, lo al yedei malach. Rather it was by Hashem, not by a messenger, and not by an angel, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He Himself. May we all see Hashem Himself in our own lives. Amen v'amen.